Why do we come here every year? The war ended 40 years ago. Because, child, some lessons are too costly to forget. Come. Let me show you why the galaxy will never provoke humanity again. 87 years ago, the Krell hegemony was the dominant military power in this quadrant of the galaxy. They controlled 12 systems. Their fleet had never known defeat, and their technology was centuries ahead of what Earth possessed at the time. When humanity refused to surrender their independence and become a vassal state, the Krell decided to make an example of them. Their armada, sleek and arrogant, surrounded Earth's moon, their weapons charging with absolute certainty. They believed a single, decisive show of force would be enough. The first strike was a kinetic bombardment aimed at New Tokyo. In minutes, 4 million human lives were extinguished. The Krell then broadcast their ultimatum across all human networks. Submit or watch your cities burn, one by one. What did the humans do? They went silent. Complete radio silence. No pleas for mercy, no attempts at negotiation, no signal of surrender. For 72 agonizing hours, the galaxy heard nothing from humanity. As the Krell fleet prepared their next devastating strike, the Krell, in their hubris, interpreted this silence as shock, as a broken spirit. They were catastrophically wrong. Humans weren't silent because they were defeated. They were silent because they were deciding. Then, everything changed. In a single, coordinated move, every human military installation, every civilian space station, every colony ship, they all activated simultaneously. But they didn't launch a futile attack against the overwhelming Krell fleet. No, they attacked everything else. You see, humans had been quiet observers of galactic politics for decades. They understood the intricate web of rivalries, enemies, and tenuous alliances that kept the Krell in power. So, they didn't just fight the Krell. They systematically dismantled the entire political structure that allowed the Krell hegemony to exist. Human strike teams hit Krell supply lines across 4 different star systems, choking their war machine. Human hackers unleashed a digital blitz, collapsing the Krell's financial networks and wiping out centuries of economic data in a single afternoon. At the same time, human diplomats made contact with every species that had ever been threatened or oppressed by the Krell, offering advanced technology, critical resources, and direct military support for their own liberation. But it was their next move that sent a chill through the spine of the entire galaxy. They began strapping nuclear weapons to asteroids. Hundreds of them. It was a strategy humans called mad mutually assured destruction. The Krell had 12 worlds, and humanity calculated that they could redirect enough asteroids to sterilize all 12 of them within 6 months, even if it meant dedicating Earth's entire industrial capacity to the task. Then, a new broadcast went out from Earth, on every frequency, to every corner of known space. The message was chillingly simple. You killed one of our cities. We will kill all of your worlds. You have 72 hours to withdraw. This is not a negotiation. The Krell thought it was a bluff. How could this fledgling species possibly follow through on such a threat? To call the bluff, they destroyed another city. This time, Mumbai. 6 million more dead. They expected fear, a surrender. Instead, 20 hours later, the first human-launched asteroid struck Krell Prime's smaller moon, shattering it into a cloud of debris that would rain down on their homeworld for months to come. Suddenly, the Krell fleet was in disarray, torn between defending their own planets and maintaining the siege of Earth. And that's when the final phase of humanity's plan took hold. They hadn't just armed themselves. They had armed anyone and everyone willing to fight the Krell. Weapons, ships, tactical intelligence. They gave it all away freely to 17 different species. Within 3 weeks, the mighty Krell hegemony was fighting desperate brushfire wars across their entire empire. The Krell fleet finally retreated from Earth, not in an honorable defeat, but out of desperate, frantic necessity. Their empire was collapsing from within. Their resources were stretched beyond the breaking point, and their former allies were abandoning them as human-backed insurgencies tore through their territories. The war lasted just 8 months. The Krell hegemony, an empire that had dominated the galaxy for 300 years, ceased to exist. Their worlds weren't destroyed. Humanity stopped their assault the moment the Krell withdrew and issued a formal apology. But their power, their influence, their ability to threaten anyone ever again, that was annihilated. And what about humanity? They lost 2 cities and 80,000 soldiers. And then they went back to being a seemingly minor species in galactic politics. But everyone, and I mean everyone, remembered the lesson. Humanity doesn't fight to win territory or to gain glory. They fight to ensure the fight never, ever happens again. They proved they were willing to burn everything to the ground, including themselves, to protect what they value. After the war, humanity went back to being peaceful, prosperous, deliberately maintaining a military far smaller than they were capable of. But every species in the galaxy knew the truth. They remembered. There's an old human phrase: speak softly and carry a big stick. Humanity doesn't make threats. They don't boast about their power. They don't maintain massive fleets or flex their military might for a show. They don't have to, because every government, every empire, and every military commander knows what happened to the Krell. And they know, deep down, that it could happen to them. So, yes, we come here to remember. But more than that, we come here to ensure we never forget. There are species in this galaxy that are stronger, faster, and more technologically advanced than humanity. But humanity possesses something far more dangerous than any of that. They have the will to do whatever it takes, the terrifying creativity to find solutions no one else would ever consider, and the chilling patience to smile and cooperate right up until the very moment they decide you have gone too far. The galaxy learned a terrible lesson 87 years ago. Humanity doesn't need to be the strongest or the most advanced. They just need to be the most resolute, willing to ensure that anyone who attacks them will regret that decision for generations to come. And in all the years since New Tokyo burned, not a single species has been foolish enough to test. If that lesson still holds true, thank you for watching.